All right. Hey there. Good morning. Good morning. So, I am doing conscious coffee at 8 o'clock today just because I have family in town, and the other day when I was doing conscious coffee, the whole house went crazy on me because of family, and they were talking and coming in and not realizing that I was even doing anything. So I just decided this morning, as I sat there and I heard the rustle and hustle and bustle of everything, that I was just going to go ahead and do conscious coffee at 8 o'clock today and just try to just go with it, like just not make such a big deal and not get caught on this timeline that I tend to set for myself. And then, the day, I guess, is proving that the power of what the message is today. Hey, good morning, Addison. Morning, Michael. The message of today that I'm going to be sharing with everybody is really just going with it, going with the flow, and learning how, but accepting the true beauty and empowerment that going with the flow can really get for us. Because what ends up happening is we end up kind of getting in there and stuff starts happening in our life and things get crazy and we feel instantaneously anxiety and overwhelm and frustration, and we just don't know what to do with it. And I could so easily pop into that this morning, definitely, because, I've got multiple things going on. I just signed up for this mentorship program, so my focus is there. And then, of course, the mentorship stuff starts right as my brother gets in from out of town, and I haven't seen him for 3-4 years. So it's one of those things of, I feel like I need to be with family and connecting and going and showing him around Dallas and doing this different stuff. And at the same time, I've got all this stuff that I need to do. And then I've got my clients that I'm trying to take care of and my family. And I've got laundry that needs to be done. And I did make my bed. But I got all this different stuff. And then I've got my mother on top of it. And, and she's got Alzheimer's, dementia, early onset stuff. And that's just speeding up, and she's sick and all this different stuff. And this morning I'd go, all right, I'm just going to take a break. I'm just going to make sure I'm going to get conscious coffee done at 8 o'clock. And I thought that my message at 6 o'clock this morning, as I sat there and I'm drinking my coffee, and I was actually going to go ahead and do conscious coffee. And then all that's, hustle and bustle, kids coming down, my brother coming down, going, hey, like that, and talking to me. And it's his last day here too. So I sat there and I completely thought that my lesson was going to be on this other topic. And funny enough, I'm still kind of on that topic, but I'm not at the same time. So the other topic was all about alignment to source. And this particular little piece is truly a piece that gets us aligned to source a lot easier. Because what is source? Source means alignment to self, so that we can align to God, creator, the universe, right? So all that is. And we do a really great job at not aligning to ourselves and not just feeling into something. And a lot of the time that is because we start to feel like we should be doing this or we should be doing that, instead of just letting our boundaries be our boundaries and stating those and staying in that feel good space of doing what is right for us in the moment. We allow worry, we allow, fear, we allow it, which shows up as anxiety, which shows up as overwhelm, which shows up as, just resistance, of maybe procrastination, something like that. And we just tend to or we go, I really don't want to do that. I know that would be the responsible, good person thing to do, but that just feels to me. Oh my God, that's just total, just right there. So we go ahead and we push ourselves to do the thing so that we continue to appear as this good person. We continue to appear that we're being completely responsible, and that this is what we're supposed to do, so this is what we do. Society says, our family says, our friends say, all this different stuff. And in truth, when you really think about it, what is going on there is that we're completely stepping out of alignment to ourselves and to God, because the reason why we're feeling such towards something is because it's not in alignment to our soul. It's not in alignment to us. So this morning's got one of those like little things going on with me for everywhere from, I really wanted to do conscious coffee, but then I had this like overwhelmed feeling and all this different stuff. And I was just like, all right, I'm out of alignment for conscious coffee at 6 o'clock, but I am on alignment for it for at 8 o'clock ish. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that. And then literally about 15 minutes before, I'm like cleaning up all my notes because I've been writing in my journal. I've been doing a whole bunch of mindset work this morning while talking to my brother and doing mindset work and dealing with kids that are waking up and getting everybody off to school. And then my phone rings, and it's the house that my mom lives at. She lives in assisted living, a small house, a residence. And they call me and they're like, you have to come take her to the hospital. And I was like, because she's having a tough time breathing, which she was starting to get sick last week. But I'm like, you have to come take her to the hospital. Now, a good daughter, right? The responsible person be like, I'll be right there, right? And then I was like, okay, I'll be right there. My initial response was, I'll be right there, because I knew that that's what the answer was that I should be giving. Notice I said should be giving. That should, it was for the person that I was talking to. And then as I'm going, I set the phone down and I looked at my brother. He was just like, I just had this like feeling. And it wasn't that my mom was going to the hospital. It wasn't even that that I'm really overly concerned for her, because she does this a lot, and I know what is going to happen. So I can almost like, I could go to the hospital and do it myself at this point. But that feeling was this feeling of, oh my gosh, like, it's like all of a sudden this overwhelm, this anxiety, and that I had to go take care of this too, and everything. And then I had pop in my mind, it's okay to ask for help in this moment. It's okay to set your boundary and not go do that. You are not the one who has to take her to the hospital. You can ask somebody else to do that. You can say, call back and say, hey, go ahead and have the ambulance pick her up, and then I'll connect with the hospital later. And that way I can still have some peace in my day and continue setting the tone of my day and kind of going with that flow and work with this in a calmer state, a clearer state, and from here, instead of from this point of anxiety and frustration, which definitely would come about me if I had said, I'll be right there, and then decided, oh, I'm not going to do conscious coffee, and I'm not going to finish this, and I'm not going to just like get my kids to finish getting my munchkins to school and do this and do that, all the things that I need to do for my own self-care and creation process. Because the reality is if I took off and drove a half an hour to pick her up and get her to the hospital, that I'd then be sitting in a hospital doing what? Nothing much. I mean, yeah, I could take my computer, but hospital's not necessarily the most creative space for things. So I opted out. I called back and I set my boundary. I was like, you know what? Just go ahead and do this. And there's that. I'm like, okay, well. So you might think, oh, that's horrible. I can't believe she didn't go and take her mom to the hospital. But being in alignment sometimes also means that you're not going to appear as everybody else might want you to or think you should be showing up. You're just doing what needs to happen for your own soul's purpose and forward movement. And that is where like this selfishness kind of comes in. And it's an interesting space to be in, because we all deal with shame, with guilt, with fear and worry so much. And we're told that we need to be doing all these different things, when in fact, the only thing that we ever need to do is just tap in and feel what we need to be feeling in that moment, and what from here and from what our body is telling us, go from there and say, oh, this is actually what's going on. So the fact that like when I said, yes, okay, I'll be there, my instantaneous feeling was right straight into my gut. I started feeling just this like tightening and anxiety and pain and like a bloating type feeling. It was just not good at all. And that was my like cue of like, whoa, I'm taking the wrong step here. Maybe it looks good on the outside, but it's not so good on the inside. So realizing that, that alignment, because that's what that is getting into alignment so that we can make the right decisions for self, and learning how to just kind of go with it. Going with the flow means not to just let life just do this to you and have its way with you. But going with the flow means that you're tapping in and getting into the flow of your own spiritual channel and soul direction, instead of instead of just letting life take you, which means that that when we think that we're controlling things, we think that we're like, oh, so on top of it, and we got this in order and that in order and all this different stuff. But that's actually us just hitting the bumper rails of life and being bounced back and forth, and we go, ow, all right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to force it, and that causes this resistance in our life and causes us a lot of different issues. So when we hit that bumper rail, we start to have those issues, and we start to feel this frustration, overwhelm, anxiety, fear, worry, all this different stuff, right? And with that's where we're not going with our soul flow, but what we're actually doing is that we're kind of just letting life bat us around. So if you want to control your situation, get into your soul flow and move from that space instead of doing the bumper rail back and forth. I mean, because if you think about it, it's kind of like what are the is it ping pong, where you go and you shoot the little ball up and it goes bling, 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 and it darts off. I know the sound effects this morning. So all this different stuff. So where you're like kind of like just bouncing off, right? So you're just like that little ball where you're just going boing, boing, boing off of all this different stuff. And that's not really how life is supposed to be, because there's no really tapping in to what your needs, your desires are, and setting the tone for that. So if you want to experience good shit in your life, if you want to really just be able to move through things, tapping into going with the flow of your soul is exactly what you need to do. And what you're going to get from that is that you have to realize that in those moments, it really is like a piece of fruit growing on a limb. Okay, and we're the fruit. Everything in our life is this fruit, right? We want good things in our life. We want abundance. We want, the perfect person in our bed. We want the perfect career. We want the perfect travel, the money in the bank. We want the lifestyle of whatever we're desiring, whatever we're wanting. And then we go, but how do we get that fruit to grow? Well, when we are bouncing off the sidebars and allowing life to dictate. So basically we're just life's doormat here, and we're just doing this, but we feel like we're really in control, and we're like, oh, I have to fight for it. I have to like make that happen. I have to force this. I'm going to really just, really pound the pavement and make this happen. That is breaking ourselves off of the limb and falling to the ground and just hitting the ground, okay? It's not as staying attached to the limb, because the limb is attached to a tree. The tree goes down and is attached to its roots. The roots is in the soil, and it's being completely fed from all of life. It's got its direction. It's going to grow. It's going to materialize, and it's as long as it stays attached to its source, that source being our soul, and our soul is the limb, and the limb is, that limb is attached to what? Attached to the divine, attached to the creator, attached to exactly everything, to everything, whatever your believer might be, your beliefs might be, God's source. So to step into that alignment, realize that if you want to have that fruit blossom in your life, that it's not going to happen if you constantly detach your fruit from its source. And the way to not detach it is to actually get right with right here and get lined up to it and stay connected. So what do you do if you're really good at severing that fruit and letting it drop to the ground, and then it rots and it just doesn't come about? Life is hard. It does all this different stuff to you. Realize that our life is more like basil plants than trees bearing fruit. And if you're familiar with a basil plants, they grow up, and you can trim off the basil, and you use that basil, and then more basil grows back, right? And it grows back, and as this basil is growing, you can just keep trimming it, and it actually just gets bigger and keeps growing back. Well, you can actually trim off one of those little basil branches, and you can put it in a glass of water, and it will sprout new roots. It'll actually develop a new plant. So if you're feeling completely disconnected from self and you just don't know what to do, step one, really tap in, ask yourself, go and do some internal work. Find out, what do you love about yourself? What is an absolute fuck no to you in your life? What are the things that you really do desire that just make, that you just like, if you if you really tap in and said, if time and money did not exist, what do I want in this life? What would I be doing? That kind of stuff right there. To ask yourself those questions, you're probably going to notice that you're going to have some emotion come up. You might even express the emotion, but you're definitely going to feel some things, because that's like a scary question right there. It's such a simple question, but it's so scary to ask yourself, if time and money didn't matter, didn't exist, what would I do today? What would be the things that I'd really want to do? And what do I love about myself? What do I love about my life? What are 10 things that I love about my life? You know, like that just answer those things and get in there and start to do that reconnective work to who you are. Get realigned to who you are. Notice the feelings that come up in your body. Notice if you have some anxiety that comes up. What is that anxiety about? You know, because that's a blockage, that's a holdback. There's anger there. There's fear there. There's things that you're not wanting to process, not that wanting to digest fully in your life, in your thinking, in your emotions. So until you're willing to push through on those things, you're not really going to be able to push through and get fully into alignment. So you got to let yourself feel. You got to let yourself get into that alignment and get there. And then from there, what you're going to do is you're going to basically, like the basil, okay? So now we put it in the water and we got some roots going, okay? So that is those roots. As you tap into self, the roots are starting to form on your little basil sprout, okay? And those roots are starting to form in that water. And now you're ready to replant yourself. So now you're going to replant yourself into Mother Earth, which is back to God's source, okay? You're going to replant yourself back into that God source, and you're going to allow yourself to just grow and reconnect, and stay listening to right here, and don't let everything else get to you and where you're controlling your environment, you're controlling the outcome. Yeah, no, you're not controlling the outcome. If you're doing things that you're fuck no to, you're not controlling shit, okay? That is resistance to flow, resistance to your abundance, resistance to your well-being when you are trying to manipulate, which is what control is, the God energy. And that's never going to work. So I see, oh, good morning, Amy. Morning, Lori. I saw a couple other people, but if I go trying to scroll up on my screen, I'll mess it all up. Let me see. Did I have a quote anywhere? I did make a couple notes like about the basil plant, but I had a little bit of time to actually feel into this, but I actually didn't know what the heck I was going to be talking about. Like I wanted to tell a story about the basil plant and connections, because like I said, I was talking about alignment, but it was interesting that as my phone's ringing and this is going on and I'm dealing with family emergency, that's life trying to bat me like this, right? And I was just going, oh, look at that. Like, here comes life trying to bat me around. I have a moment that I can either go, okay, life, I'm going to let you bat me around, or I'm going to stay aligned to what feels right. And that was where I was just like, oh my gosh, well, I'm still on alignment, but really tapping into that go with the flow mentality and what flow is. Because I think that we tend to think that flow is just about that, just about, hey, thank you, Addison, just about letting life take you. And because it sounds like that, right? I'm going to go with the flow. That means, oh, I'm going to just let life take me. I'm just going to let life take me. We're just going to see where it goes and blah, blah, blah. Easy peasy, you know. And it's just that's not the case. Going with the flow is actually truly tapping into your heart and listening to your heart, because your heart's always going to lead you in the right direction. And when we say heart, we're not talking about getting caught up in the ego of emotion, but actually tapping into what our emotions are telling us and feeling into that space and being able to translate and read into it. I do encourage anybody to go explore Louise Hay, Heal Yourself. I've used that book forever. You can easily access it online. You can just type in Louise Hay emotional connection to disease, and you're going to find out that every little thing does have an emotional connection, and it's those emotions are actually telling us different things. So, you know, like if you have a bladder infection a lot, guess what? You're really pissed off about something. You actually really are pissed off about something. Sinus infection. I have a lot of people around me that get these sinus infections, couples, And typically it's the woman that'll get the sinus infection. She'll be like, oh, I have this horrible sinus infection. I'll say, so who in your really intimate, close life are you really, really frustrated with, really, really angry with? And she goes, and she tells me like this story about what her husband did or blah, 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 and how pissed off she is at his, like being a big kid or something like that. And it's literally, that's what it means. So if you're suffering from a sinus infection, there you go. But just really tapping in and learning what those cues are so that you can read where you're at, because realize that unless you are feeling good, unless you really have some good, energy and you're pumped up and you're turned on to life, then if you're not feeling turned on to life, then you're not in flow. You're not in that receiving mode. And that means that you're actually in resistance mode. So you might be thinking all these things of, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I want this, I want that, but you're probably operating from, it's over there, I don't have it yet, instead of just being fulfilled right now and being happy right now. And it's that right there that you're wanting to do. Amy, yes, this is what I mean when I say I'm going with the flow. Awesome, Amy. So yeah, so let me see. I don't know. Any questions, comments, observations that you might want to pop in there for a couple minutes as I ramble on through flow here? Please feel free to pop something in. I see that we've got a nice little amount of people on at 8 o'clock, which is kind of cool. I always think maybe I should just do conscious coffee at 8 o'clock. I know a few people would be happy about that because they would actually be up by then. But no, if you have anything that you want to add to this, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to just make a couple quick announcements because I think I need to. When again, if you are local to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or if you are coming through our area, be aware that we have a ladies only workshop coming up. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after on the 19th. We have a ladies only workshop that is coming up, and that is all on self-pleasure. Now you might think, oh, she's just talking about masturbation. Yes and no. So we are going to be talking about masturbation, but we are talking about self-pleasure, and self-pleasure has a lot more to do with actually what I'm talking about here. Pleasure, feeling good. And ladies, we are creation centers, okay? We are such awesome manifestors. We are such great creators, and we just don't make use of it. We really allow ourselves to get caught up in our masculine energy, that drive, that must do, trying to tackle all this different stuff. And here's the thing, we don't have to do it. We really, really don't have to do that. We can step into our feminine power and just live from our hearts and let our radiance shine and come from there and create such beautiful stuff in this world and be fantastic, fantastic human beings and incredible goddesses like we're supposed to be. If you're not in the Fort Worth area or the Dallas area or coming through, I did see that Addison posted my Feel Good Now course, and that Feel Good Now course is open to men and women, but that Feel Good Now course is really on exactly this topic. And like what I teach on Conscious Coffees consistently for the last few months is all about abundance thinking and getting into alignment and catching your ego and being more the witness and figure out what your blocks are and learning how your sex plays a role in your abundance thinking and all this different stuff. So that course right there is definitely one that man or woman, you can take that. It is a powerful, powerful course. There's lots of video content, downloads, and exercises to get you into this flow, get you into this alignment, and help you move forward and really start manifesting exactly what you want to manifest in your life, because it is about feeling good. It is about finding your pleasure. Joseph Campbell has the statement of follow your bliss. And he studied all these different mystical things, and he studied world religion, and he did all this different stuff. And what he discovered was no matter what, wherever you went in the world, the one core truth was that all spiritual principles came back to tapping into source, and that meant to follow bliss. And to follow bliss means to follow your heart and to get into alignment with source, which means that source, that God light within self, because that God light within self is your direct path to God, to universe, to the creator. This is what intuition is. This is exactly what you need to be doing to just be able to really get what you want in life. Like, and that means what? Your abundance, your well-being, joy, happiness. How do you have consistent joy and happiness? I mean, when you really think about it, what do you want in life? You want connection, you want happiness, you want abundance in all things, right? So I'm pretty sure that probably is about 98% of the world population wants those things right now, right there, consistently. Like, that is why we do anything that we do. Why do you go to work? Why are you in a relationship? Why did you buy the house that you wanted? Why did you buy the car that you wanted? Why did you go and eat at the restaurant that you ate at recently? Because of the feeling that it gave you, because it made you feel good in some way, because it really got in there. It was like, yes, this feels good, right? You're not going to go to the restaurant because it make you feel bad. Oh, they have horrible customer service. I think I'm going to go there. And they have the worst food ever. Yep, that's the place that I'm going to go. No, that's not why you're going to go to the restaurant. You're going to go there because they make the drink that you really like. The customer service, they know your name and they put a smile on your face and you can joke around and you can just feel like, right? That's why people stop at their local little pub on the way home after work, where everybody does know their name, and they walk in and they can just order their drink and they can just have the regular, right? This is my regular spot. Why is it your regular spot? Because of the way it makes you feel. Whether that is a pub, whether it is a restaurant, whether it is the show, the series that you're watching on TV. The reason why you watch the series that you watch on TV is because of the way it makes you feel, because it gives you this space to just be like, the reason why you're with the people that you're with, whether it is friends or lovers or anything, is because of the connection and the feeling that you have there. So that is definitely something that you need to look at, because if you really want to experience and really tap into what that pleasure is and be able to experience that, then there you go. Get into the flow, tap into yourself. It's really quite easy, and at the same time, it's extremely challenging, because guess what you're going to come up against? You're going to come up against your ego. You're going to come up against doubt and fear and worry and all of these programs that you have purchased that never really probably were yours for the most part, but they have really been ingrained into you. So let me see. Lori, wow, I want to learn how to live from receiving mode. I see you there. Awesome, Lori. I can't wait to see you, Lori. Lori's coming to the workshop, so that is awesome. So yeah, ladies, if you are in the area, please take advantage of that Deshaming the Lotus workshop. Know that it is not nearly as risque as you might think it is going to be. There's not anything really crazy going on there except us getting crazy and tapping into our soul and really pushing through some good things. And then if you are not in the area, check out that Feel Good Now course, because that definitely is going to enable you to be able to tap in, and that is open to men or women. Okay. One more quick announcement. Gentlemen, on June 6th, I'm pretty sure that Addison's already working on the link here. Addison and I are doing an all men's workshop, and it is on how to become the man that you need to be to call in the one. So, on this one, again, we're tapping into yourself. We're going to teach you some basic things so that you can become the man. And this does not mean that you're going to make any drastic, humongous changes, except for in your thinking and your feeling and what you're desiring in life, and knowing how to really attract the woman that you want. So you're sick and tired of the crazy chick syndrome and having these women, that are maybe they're too clingy, they're too distant, they're this, they're that, or they just go psycho on you all of a sudden. I mean, I hear a lot of crazy ass stories from my single guys, but you deal with all these different things, right? But then you look around and you're like, oh, how would I date a woman like that? Like, what does it take for me to date a woman like that? I just recently had a guy message me on Instagram that just asked me that question. He's like, how would I date a woman like you? And I came back with, well, number one, you need to be a gentleman, and number two, you need to be really present in your life. You need to have a certain conscious level to date somebody like me. I mean, if you're wanting to ask me on a date, here are some basic key points. And that's exactly what Addison and I are going to be going through in this. Is we're going to be giving men the steps, the 1, 2, 3s, that systematic approach as to what you can do as a man to really call in that woman that you're wanting, instead of constantly getting this woman that you probably are a little bit sick of, which is why you might be showing up. So it doesn't mean that you're going to turn around and get married. I mean, that might happen if that's what you're looking for, but just learning how to date a higher consciousness woman, a woman that is empowered and, you know, confident in herself, and not just there because of your resume, but is there because she really wants to connect with you and experience you, and can let you be the man that you want to be by being the woman that she is. Okay. So that is another fantastic class coming up. On the side note, if you're not in the Dallas area and you can't make that, or maybe, I don't know, whatever your reason or excuses on that, know that I do have the Not Your Average Joe class on my website as well, and that will cover some of the things. I mean, it's not about dating, but it is definitely a consciousness training to help you get into alignment to your divine masculine, we'll call it, and step more into that superior man that you can be, and learn different ancient practices. So it does deal with your sex, it does deal with the sexual stamina, but it also deals with definitely just tapping in and being this high level man, so that you can start that process of doing your own internal work, so that you can call in that empowered, amazing queen into your life, so that you can really just like, you know, just like a woman, imagine a woman that makes you just want to be a better man and supports you being a better man, and is completely just in love with you for you. That's probably what you're looking for. That's probably what you're wanting. And those women are out there. And if you don't have that woman in your life, well, guess what? There's a reason for it. And you can make a really quick switch to it by just doing some work. So, okay, guys, alignment. Keep that focus. If you are coming in right now, it was not just a little bleep on all this marketing stuff here that I'm sharing all these courses, which I did real quick because I have so many people asking me questions. Hopefully they'll just all tap into this video. But on the front side, if you came in towards the middle or the back of this video, go ahead and as soon as this ends, start it from the beginning. There's a whole bunch of journal prompts in there, different things that I would really encourage you to listen to, write down, and just journal your heart out, and allow yourself to really tap into your core and get those answers, because that's that beginning stage. No matter what, if you never come to any of my workshops, if you never hire me as a coach, if you never look at one of my courses, get those journal questions done. Get those journal questions done and really start asking yourself those questions, because the more you can feel into here, the more you keep your fruit attached to the vine and allow those roots to really grow and expand and get nurtured by source. That's where you're going to be able to find that abundance and wellspring of life. Okay. So I love you. I will catch you tomorrow. You know, I'm going to say that I'm going to do conscious coffee tomorrow at 8 o'clock, just because my brother is leaving around noon. So I'm going to just go ahead and say that I'm going to do conscious coffee around 8 o'clock. So I can do that before I head to the airport, to take him to the airport. And that way there's not the hustle and bustle in the morning of suitcases and everything going around for you guys to listen to. So I love you, and I will catch you tomorrow. Bye, guys.